Hello YouTube, SentinalhMC here for episode 38 of my RotaryCraft tutorial series. In this episode we're going to cover the Pneumatic Item Pumps. This is the item transfer pipe from RotaryCraft. It's very powerful, it's got filtering built in, and it's really nice. Well, let's just start talking about it. You'll see why it's so nice. Okay, so the recipe is looks a little expensive compared to other mods' pipes. It uses an impeller, which of course has quite a bit of steel in it, 2 liquid pipes, and 6 base panels. But you get 16 per recipe, so that's pretty nice. 16, not a slouch on the amount of pipes that you get. So when you place this down, it places in the direction that you're facing. So the direction that I'm facing when I place it is the way that the pipe is going to be initially oriented. So this arrow tells you the direction that the pipe is going to flow in. Now I've got this pneumatic item pump placed down here, and if I come on, place them in a line, then these textures connect, which is pretty darn awesome. And this is now one pipe. It functions like one pipe, and anything that is in this inventory, once this has power, it's going to try and pull into this inventory over here. Fell in a hole. I got some items in here, a bunch of items. We're going to go over these. Now it does require power. It doesn't require very much power though, so I usually place a dyno, so we'll go ahead and do that anyway. The power it requires is only 1024 kilowatts at 256 radians per second. Very, very cheap power requirement. A DC engine will power this thing. So quite simple. Now, giving it more power will cause it to transfer items more quickly. The amount of watts that you give it determines how many items it can pull at once. So at the 1024 it will pull one item at a time. It'll do it at a really fast speed, so it often doesn't matter, but if you give it 65 kilowatts, which is the output of a gas engine, you can get it to transfer entire stacks at one time, which can be quite useful if you're transferring a massive amount of items, or if the production on this end is really high. But it does transfer at a very fast speed. So if we give it power, you can see that it's pulling the items out quite quickly. But if I go ahead and I jump this up, I think it's 512, 128. It's done, because it was pulling entire stacks. Let me give you more of a sense of that. Bam, and it's gone. The whole stack is gone. So that's pretty cool. Nope. That's pretty darn cool. So you can transfer items very quickly. Now that's all well and good, but the pneumatic item pump has built into it some very useful filtering capabilities. So if I right click on the pneumatic item pump, I'll see that it has quite a large inventory for filters. You know, a lot of other pipes allow you to filter a couple of items, or I think thermal expansion lets you filter up to 9 items at a time, and with Buildcraft, of course, with a diamond pipe, you can filter quite a lot of items. But the pneumatic item pipe by default has quite a large set for blacklisting and whitelisting items. So currently it is set to blacklist. And then if I click it, it'll set it to whitelist. So you know how blacklisting and whitelisting works. If you have it set to blacklist, it will pull everything out but the item you put in here. If you set it to whitelist, it'll only pull these items. I tend to use filters mostly on whitelist. So we'll go ahead and we'll whitelist an item. Let's say we whitelist stone, and it doesn't actually use the item, it just stores a ghost of it. If I throw dirt in here, it won't pull the dirt. If I throw stone in here, it pulls the stone. So that's basic whitelist functionality. If I switch this back to blacklist, it'll start pulling the dirt because it's only excluding the stone. So basic whitelist and blacklist functionality. We're going to set that back to whitelist for a sec, and we're going to talk about the next filter option: ignore metadata. Now, we all know how, well, maybe we don't, but the way that wool works and a lot of other materials is that the wool has its own item ID, and then there's the colon, and then there's additional numbers that determine the color, and that's the metadata that this is referring to. So if I stick a piece of red wool in here as a filter on a whitelist, with it set to ignoring metadata, it'll pull the red wool that I put in, and it'll also pull brown wool. It'll pull any color of wool that goes in there, because it's only cares about the item ID that tells it this is wool. I didn't want to do that. So it's pulling both kinds of wool. However, if I set this to use metadata and throw brown wool in, it's no longer pulling out the brown wool because I'm telling it to only pull red wool. Very, very nice feature that lets you filter a lot of things, because there are a lot of mods that use metadata for various things, and you may only want one kind of that thing. It gets dark because it has to get all the way down to evening before it resets it to noon. Okay, so the next option here, I'll be quite honest. I know what this is, but I really don't know how to use it. Nbt is a item tag, or an attribute tag, that can be attached to items in Minecraft. I've only researched this a little bit, so I'm not a coder, so if I get this terribly wrong, forgive me. But Nbt tags are like attributes that can be put on various on all these different items. They can have different kinds of tags on them. I really don't know myself what the use is of this. I'm sure it has a use because it's in here, but I don't know, because I don't know enough about NBT. Maybe it has something to do with enchantments, because it does kind of look like an enchanted pick at times. I don't know. It has something to do with attributes that can be attached to items through the game code, but I don't know enough about it. The last option, which I do know about, is use or dictionary. So we know that there's a lot of different kinds of the same materials in these mods. There's RotaryCraft nether copper ore here. I got Tinker's Construct copper ore. I've got ElectroCraft copper ore. Now the ore dictionary allows all of these types of copper to be used for any recipe that requires it, for the most part. There are some mods that really restrict it and say, no, you can only use my material here. But for the most part, with modded Minecraft in packs like FTB Monster, you can use pretty much any of them. So if I take a copper ingot from ElectroCraft and I put it in here on whitelist, if I throw in Tinker's Construct copper or nether copper from RotaryCraft, it's going to go ahead and it's going to pull all of these out, because it's just looking at the fact that it's copper. It's saying, hey, there's copper here, let's grab it, because the ore dictionary allows it to recognize all of them as copper. But if I turn that off, it goes to match exact. So now, if I throw, I've got the ElectroCraft copper in here. If I throw Tinker's Construct and nether copper ore ingots from RotaryCraft in here, it's not going to pull these, because it's only looking for the ElectroCraft copper. This could be quite useful, especially if you're trying to sort different mods versions of these items into their own chests. Obviously, if you take all the copper that you mine and throw it through like a RotaryCraft grinder or extractor, you're only going to get RotaryCraft versions. But if you've done a lot of mining and you're getting all different kinds of silver and copper and tin from different mods, you can use this to try and to manage it. So you got match exact, you've got use or dictionary. So this is very, very nice. I really like pneumatic item pumps. Now, an important aspect of the pneumatic item pump is that the items that it transfers are not actually traveling this space. The way that the item pump works is that when this item pump block, the starting block, the one that gets the power, because you must put the power into the block that has the arrow on it, which is the block that's connected to the inventory. It searches in front of it for an inventory to put the items in, and if it finds a pump, it just keeps going along, finding pumps until it finds an inventory, and then it puts the items in here. Essentially, these items are teleporting from this chest to this chest without traveling through the space in between. What that means is that, unlike some types of item pumps, like Buildcraft pumps were known for causing lag, I was watching Will Strife's video series on the Oxcast, and he had a mechanism sorting system that was causing lag. This will never cause any lag whatsoever, no matter how long it is, because you don't have a bunch of entities that are rendering so that you can see them through the pipe traveling through it. It's basically teleporting the items from this chest into this chest. Alright? Now, this pipe is really cool, but it would be less useful if you could only transfer items in a straight line. Thankfully, you can, however, transfer items through turns. By going like that. Now, you may not think that this works at first. At first, you may be like, wait, this is the hole that it takes items from. Is this actually going to work? But it is actually going to work. If I put some stone in here, not there, in here, the stone is being pulled out, and the stone is being put into this chest. Because when this item pump block is searching this and finding these pipes and continuing down the line, when it gets here, it recognizes which direction this is facing, and then it continues searching for pipes in that direction. So you can go left, right, up, down with these pipes just like you can with other mods' pipes. It's not a problem. So don't let this fool you. Don't think that it's not going to work, because it is totally going to work. It's really, really cool. And of course, these can be oriented in all different directions. You can place them down, and you can hit them with a screwdriver. You can hold shift to change their direction. Shift right click. You can just right click. Somebody on the wiki it said that shift right clicking has a different function. It doesn't. Right click the screwdriver, and it will change in all different directions. Now, there is a bit of an issue with rotating pipes that are already placed if you try and do it in the middle, because it will rotate. It tends to... Okay, it's working just fine now. Earlier it wasn't. Earlier it was sort of screwing up, but you can see it is reconnecting. I think it mostly happens when you've got pipes facing like that. If I go ahead and rotate this... No, it's not doing it. It's actually working perfectly fine. Earlier there was something happening where it was rotating these blocks, and it was rotating the ones next to them, and it was never actually lining up the way I wanted it to line up. But no, it's working fine. So yeah, you can totally rotate these in any direction you want. They will reconnect the textures. It's really cool. I really like these. I can think of a ton of uses for these. These are especially useful if you're transferring items over a long distance, because they'll show up immediately. Or if you're taking items out of an inventory and putting them into something that you have to be able to transfer instantly. Like, I don't know, if you're transferring some sort of coolant for some sort of reactor or something, I don't know, from another mod. I really don't know. I'll have to work with these and find uses for them. I already know I'm going to use these in the RotaryCraft series. That's why I wanted to talk about these now. These pneumatic item pumps are very, very cool, very, very powerful. I really like them. They've got filtering built in, with which a lot of other mods you have to make special pipes that cost more. This is cool. I like the pneumatic item pipes a lot. So that's pretty much it for this episode about pneumatic item pumps. They're very, very cool. Remember, you only have to put power into the first block, the one with the arrow on it. And yeah, so I hope you use these. I hope you enjoy them. They're very, very cool. They're very powerful. They don't take a lot of power. They can move a lot of items in a very short amount of time. So yeah, next episode we are going to talk about, we're going to go into the processing machines section, and we're just going to start talking about a couple of these things per episode. We're not talking about these yet. Actually, we're not talking about these mod interaction blocks, because like Reika said, those are going to change significantly in the next version, which should be coming out pretty soon, from what I understand from reading her thread. His thread. What am I talking about? So yeah, we're going to talk about things like the fluid crystallizer and the composter and the liquid distillery in the next episode. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. RotaryCraft series, obviously, going on. I might have one out tomorrow. So yeah, I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.